You still good?
Yeah.
What's that mean if you do? You get a little extra or
Quarterlies are way up and,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled Sylvania Township Trustee meeting for September 16th at 6 p.m.
Call the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Here.
Mr. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Genowine?
Here.
Simcoe, here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody have any corrections or changes they'd like to made to the minutes?
I do not.
None.
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
Okay.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. Anybody sign in for agenda items?
No.
Okay. Darrell?
Good evening. The monthly report for zoning for the month of August. We had 35 permits issued for the month at about $2.5 million in value. And for the year, we're at 287 and just over $29 million in value. Our year-to-date on the family dwellings, we continue to move along on that. We're at 64 as opposed to 57 at this time last year. That's a 12% increase and a 4.6% increase in estimated value. Next page, please. On the zoning complaints, continues to be down from the last couple of years at 115 year-to-date and only 10 for the month. We had no meetings for the zoning department last month, no items on the agenda. And then just a few little items of note. You could read those over, but you know, Mercy Health Systems continues to be the big item. They were before the Lucas County Plan Commission for a zone change on 2 of the residential properties that they acquired, and the Plan Commission recommended approval. And since I typed up this report, our own zoning commission has also recommended approval. So that'll be before this board the next meeting, whatever date that is, the first meeting in October. And then they've also acquired the southernmost property out of those 5 residential properties on King Road. And then that one is also going through the zone change process. That'll be a couple months before this board sees that one. That's all I have, unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Darrell.
Thank you, Darrell. Greg, do you have anything for the trustees? Have any questions for Greg?
Everything went smooth with the general pickup and leaf pickup. I think right in the middle of it, we got hit with that storm, which created a lot more sticks to pick up. So everything going pretty good?
Correct. The household pickup finished within 3 days by Wednesday afternoon. Brush pickup, we're still on that. We should complete that tomorrow or, thereabouts. And so.
I'm amazed at, 10 years ago when general pickup was, every house had a pile out in front of their house, and these days there's just not that much. And when you drive around, you don't see it as much as you used to. So I don't know if people are getting as much value out of that service, but I gotta believe the tonnage and the volume was down quite a bit.
The volume is down about every 5-6 years. It seems like the volume decreases. Also, with the EPA regs, the landfills are no longer allowed to accept certain items, so that contributes to the decreased tonnage.
Good job.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
That's right. Keith?
Good evening. You have in front of you the August monthly report. First couple pages are our total runs for the month. We creep up a little bit again this last month from last year. Page 2 shows us how that breaks down in the EMS incidents. Chest pains were up last month, and we seem to be running a lot of sick people. That's the category for that. I guess it's just a catch-all for nothing else. They don't know anything else is wrong with it. So, page 4 is our mutual aid incidents. We gave mutual aid to Springfield Township for an accident on the expressway. We had 2 incidents where people went to the hospital by their private conveyance. Page 5, community risk reduction. Again, Chief Freilich was very busy last month again. He actually went out to the resident hall at Lourdes and did some training with their RAs, thank you. Their RAs in fire suppression and how to use the fire extinguisher. He was actually out last night and talked to the students about cooking, so hopefully we won't have as many runs there on their cooking and food on the stoves as we had in the past. Notable projects on the risk reduction: 5 plan reviews, 5 license inspections for preschools and daycares, 12 final acceptance tests for installation of suppression systems, 6 public education events at the fire station, and 269 fire safety inspections. And the crews participated in observing 4 school fire drills. Monthly training was hazmat month. Last month we did get a lot of equipment from a grant that we got from Homeland Security, so the crews went through that gear again and familiarized themselves with the radiological and the hazardous materials such as chemicals and neurological agents that we might come in contact with. On page 7 is a nice letter from a lady that didn't make it out to our open house at station number 1, but she has to bring her grandson out, and then we have a couple pictures of the little tyke going down the, sitting in the, there he is, sitting in the engine, and with the coat on and the helmet, and the next 2 pictures there, scan down. Just for the trustees' comfort level, we didn't allow him to go down the pole. We placed him up there and helped him down. That's Brian Lazowski helping him with it. And that's all I have, unless you have anything for me this month. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes, Chief. Chief Burnley?
Good evening. You've got the monthly report for the police department for August there. On page 2, you'll see that there were 1,436 calls for service for the police department. Page 3, I'm not going to read all these numbers off. Let's just suffice it to say that in the major offense categories, where you see a little larger numbers as opposed to the 0s and 1s, we're up in 4 categories and down in 4 categories. Nothing earth-shattering. We are down in property damage accidents a little bit and up slightly with the injury accidents. Page 4, again, we're not really incurring much cost for our prisoner transport, which is a good thing. So that relationship with the city police department is going well. Page 5, again, I won't read the numbers off, but you can see the total number of cases assigned and cleared and such. I will add that our detective bureau, especially the first couple of weeks this month, has really been swamped with some very serious offenses. Page 6, again, it wasn't a big month for our detective and the DEA task force. I just noted here, when you read that stuff, just remember that I know you do, that it's confidential. We don't want to let some of that information get out. Page 7, the one thing of note under the general, I did, it's about 4 or 5 items down. We participated in a detail at BW3s. They're on Central Avenue, just west of McCord. Tuesday night is wing night, and we have occasionally had problems. We made a lot of arrests and some seizures of contraband and such. a couple of different times when we did it last year, and we've got a good working relationship with the manager there, and the manager told us that things were kind of a little more activity, kind of getting a little out of hand again. So we went in there and it's all about making a statement and driving them someplace else. As far as the schools and such, our community affairs officers are presently meeting with school officials. They're setting up their lesson plans and such. They're still doing a lot of ALICE training for new staff in the Sylvania school system and such. Page 8, you can see a couple of the locations we placed the speed trailer, and that's about it as far as my monthly report. Do you have any questions? Okay. And then the other item I'd like to address here is actually, I think wording here right off the agenda. I'd like to present to you Resolution 14-097, a request to request authorization to, it says to replace personnel, but basically in reading the resolution, you'll see it's all about establishing an eligibility list. I believe you all got that email I sent you a week ago today, kind of explaining where we are and such, and so, down the road, we can discuss how many or such. But at this point, we'd just like to start the testing process. We're going with that national testing company. It's going to save us some money, and then go from there.
I'll offer Resolution 14-097, request authorization to replace personnel in the police department.
Second?
Call the roll, Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Great. And if you have nothing for me, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Under the Administrator, my first resolution is Resolution 14-098. It's appointment to the township. It's appointment of a township representative, Tarda. Our current representative's term ends September 30th. We advertised for applicants. We got one applicant. As you see, his name is in the resume, but if we decide not to, that's fine. So I would request that the trustees discuss and appoint a representative to TARDA.
I spoke with Jim, and he's met with Jim Gee on what our old guy did and what he didn't do and what he would like to do for us in the future, and be a little more accountable with regards to some reporting as to what's going on with the meetings. He understands, he's the president of the food bank, so he's got a kind of a good blend of mix, and in my opinion, he spent some time really looking at what this was all about, so that's just my opinion, and I'm not sure what any of your guys' thoughts are on it.
Are these 2-year appointments? 3-year? Yeah, that sounds good.
I'll offer Resolution 14-098 to appoint a township representative to TARDA.
What's his?
Jim Caldwell.
Jim Caldwell, yes.
Second?
Call the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you. My next item on the agenda is to set a date, Resolution 14099, set a date and time for trick or treat. As I mentioned to you last week, certain jurisdictions out in the suburbs here have changed the night from the actual Halloween night, which would be Friday, to Thursday night. The city of Sylvania has done that, and I mentioned that the Northview-Southview game is that Friday night, the 31st, which brings out a lot of people to the football stadium, so they want to be home, and then you have kids that will be at the game. Also, for uniformity, since the city of Sylvania is doing it on the Thursday, the 30th, and there's a lot of areas in the township that, within an intersection, you can be in the township, city, and could cause confusion, that I recommended that we move it to Thursday, October 30th. But once again, that is up to the board to discuss and decide.
Ironically enough, I got here a few minutes early, so I went back into Northwoods just to kind of see what the construction looked like, and as I came up to the next street, I saw a Sylvania police officer. And I could have sworn to this day that that was still in the township.
No.
And there's a perfect example of, again, I think maybe last month it'd have been nice to communicate this ahead of time.
Yes, I mentioned that there should have been better communication, but
Yeah.
It'd been nice to have it on Saturday too for the kids, but they've got it set, then I think we gotta follow suit.
I agree with you.
Offer resolution 14-099, setting the date for trick-or-treating for October 30th, from 6 to 8, is it?
6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. My next item on the agenda is a review of a new liquor permit at 5221 Monroe Street. This is in the Beverly Hills Plaza. It's a new wine. The name of the building is Wine and Canvas. This is a new permit. I have letters from the police and fire department that they do not object to this new permit. Once again, if you are comfortable with it, no action needs to be taken. Okay, then my next item is a review to request to transfer a liquor permit, and this is for the barbecue, city barbecue out there at 7402 West Central. This is just a change of ownership, and so the liquor permit is just, the request is just to transfer it to the new owners. Once again, okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
That's all I have. Mr. Simcoe?
One item on the administration, Susan, great article in the Blade today about our wellness program. Hopefully, we're getting a lot of participants, and I think we're heading in the right direction. This is a great renewal for our health insurance, and we definitely have turned the corner. And things change quickly in that area, so I don't want to get too far out on a limb, but you've done a great job handling that.
She has. And that reminds me I have to fast
Good point.
for tomorrow morning. Oh, is that going to be rough? Mr. Simcoe?
Yes, we have our month-end analysis, and it should be up on the board there, yes. And we're at the end of 8 months, and so things are taking shape a little bit more. Interestingly, our expenditures are about 2% less than what they should be in our police and fire department, what they would be, and so I think that's kind of a good sign. It's all good signs as far as our expenditures go, and I usually like to look at the expenditures first, because that's things we can control. Our revenue is pretty much dependent on the tax sources that we have, and most of our revenue is in, but we have some additional money that will be coming in for the fire EMS contract, but it looks as though, is in the report, looks as though that all the departments might creep over 100% in revenue for 14, so it may be up just slightly, a little bit higher than what we projected. And so, again, we appear as though we're on a track to come in under budget on our expenditures. And that, so we've got a little ways to go, but I think this is a good report as to where we're standing, both revenue-wise and expenditure-wise. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them, but
Looks good.
That's great, Dave.
Yeah.
that's it.
Appreciate the report.
The numbers are good right now. You always worry about these things month to month, but we've been doing pretty good, and again, it's our departments, I think, that are on this thing, And then I have resolution number 14-094, and as you can see there, we've had a few line items that need to be increased because of shortfalls in the original budget, and so we want to make some transfers. These are all relatively small numbers, kind of moving around a little bit. Mostly workman's comp, as you can see, is where the money's coming from.
I'll offer resolution 14-094, transfer appropriations. Second.
call the roll. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And the next one is a township appropriation from unencumbered funds. And there was, the TIF revenue was a little bit larger, as you can see in the resolution, that we need to pass through the additional money received. And also the fire fund had some donations, some small amounts, and the chief liked to spend those monies. So we have this resolution here that, with the numbers that are on the back there.
Just so I get this right, Jim, next year you're going to overcompensate a little bit on that? Or?
TIF?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But the year before was a low number and this number was a little higher.
Yeah, based the budget on what we paid out in
Right.
previous year, so.
Right. Right. No, it's all good. I just wanted to make
It's a
sure.
flow through though.
You're right,
Yeah,
right.
the money comes into us and then we pass it through.
I'll offer resolution 14-095, appropriation of the unencumbered balance.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Then the last resolution I have is 14096, and the fire department's received a federal assistance to firefighters grant, and we need to create some new account numbers and appropriate monies from the grant. And so there it is, and there's the amount and the new accounts, and that's a little over $89,000.
I'll offer resolution 14-096, establish new accounts and appropriate monies.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
That's all I have. Yes, we do have a fellow that wants to speak.
Walt?
The best for last.
Walter Kyle, 9102 West Central Avenue. The county engineer was in here last March telling about the 10 Mile Creek, how they was going to clean and all that, and they wanted you trustees to help. I never hear anything happening. What's going on?
You know how the
It's a good
county
question.
moves.
Yeah.
You what?
You know how the county moves. It was a slow process, and what did we say at the time? It was at least 2 years out, if not 3, in terms of getting the approvals from the,
He has taken proposals for the environmental stuff, but I don't know that he's awarded it.
and they're first gonna do an environmental impact study, and
Well, that's what he took proposals on that study, but I don't know where he's at. But we could certainly find out.
Hey, Greg, you might know something. Have you heard anything on that?
Last I heard, drainage engineer Brian Miller met with the Army Corps of Engineers. His meeting went extremely well. Brian mentioned that he was very excited and enthused about how well the meeting went with the Army Corps of Engineers. So I think it's on to the next step. I could certainly email Brian for an update and report in the October meeting.
That'd be great.
If you
What?
could, we'll do that. Greg, why don't we ask them to
Ain't you
every
trustees
6
pushing them?
months give us,
I'm sorry?
why
Ain't
don't
you,
we ask them every 6 months to let us know how they're doing?
you trustees are supposed to be pushing them? Huh?
Well,
once it gets to that county level, we kinda
Yeah.
lose our umph.
the good news is, Walt, is that if you remember the last time they did speak in here, that their biggest concern was the Corps of Engineers and the lack of conversation that they would have, and they were thinking at least 3 years before that would even have the permitting. So it's a good indication that Brian's having good contact with the Corps at this early in the stage.
Well, you guys are supposed to be helping them.
Well, we're not, you know how much money?
You're the trustees.
You know how much money we're putting in? God,
How much you putting in?
zero.
Zero. Well, you're a
That's
big,
about as much as you can, you know.
you're a big
We're
help.
keeping it, I'm sure if we tell them we'd like a report every 6 months,
Well, I think you
they'll
ought
be
to,
glad to do.
Glad you brought it up, Walt.
This will not happen overnight. It won't happen this year.
Yeah, but you gotta keep pushing it.
Yeah. Greg, you also mentioned, when we spoke this week, that we're looking at, some clear out of the creek that might at least tide us over and keep things moving. Do we know of that one large obstacle in there? Are there any others further downstream, or?
We're working on 2 locations. The
Where
one
you-
that Mr. Krieger brought to our attention, that's scheduled probably next week or maybe the end of
Where's that at?
September. You know, and then there's another one that's over by a private bridge that leads into a residential setting off of Holt Road. That one's too labor intense for us, and between the stormwater utility engineer, Brian Miller, we're bidding that one out.
Okay.
Those are the 2 areas.
The other one is behind her road?
The first one, you know where that's at?
Where's that at?
Where the located is?
Yes.
Where's it at?
It's over, it's north of your area.
Between- Between me and Sylvania Avenue?
Correct. Yeah, we've talked with the property owners, we have access.
Yeah.
So we have it scheduled. But respectfully, the one that we're talking about here, that's maybe a scale 6 out of 10. We've seen a lot worse in there.
Yeah.
So, just to keep it real.
How did the area hold up with last week's rain?
Creek hardly ever came up.
Did it really?
The ground been so dry for 6 months that I bet you didn't come up 20 inches, and I thought it'd be over with. We got 4.5 inches
Yeah, that was
overnight.
a crazy storm.
That's a lot of rain one night.
Yeah.
Actually, and
But there was cracks in the ground, you put your hand down in.
Neil Mahoney brought another culvert that is in really bad shape, that off of Cold Street. We really need to get in there ASAP and do some work. And I spoke with the property owner.
Okay, great, thank you for doing that.
And I still didn't get my blinking stop sign on Chrissy Road yet. Dad was gonna get it. He's going now, Randall's gotta do it.
No, no,
Nobody's doing
you
it.
never heard me commit to that one.
Well, who the hell's gonna do it? Somebody's got it.
That's the state.
Yeah, but you guys should bring it up. But you gotta have safety in Sylvania.
Greg, what would be the process to address a light there, or?
I don't want blinking stop sign.
It'd be 100% ODOT control.
Well, we did send a letter after Mr. Orvatz's project.
Oh,
And remember, they said they would get some safety funds. We asked them to look from the new entrance to Central Reserve, back all the way to Chrissy. I could call them and see how they're doing on that wall. That was a letter we sent out after the review of George Orvatz's project. I'll call them, ask for an update, well,
When you put the roundabout in over there, it's on Brent, took a blinking one down, all they had to do was move it over.
You know, common sense.
That sounds too simple.
Government.
That's too simple, Walt.
Okay. With that, I think I will offer a motion to adjourn at 6:29.
Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Randall,
yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Adjourned.